All right, Theo, coming out of leg lift. Like we're talking about with the top view, you know, it's this coiling thing that you're doing. You know, rotational stuff like this, I'm fine with as long as there's linear power in the movement. So it's like you come into leg lift, you coil up your glove side and you rotate it back. You coil up your front leg and you rotate it back. You turn your back leg internal, and then as you go forward, it all just comes out of rotation. You can see the glove side came out of rotation or pulls out of rotation. The lift leg pulled out of rotation. And this created a little push, but the glove and the front leg are way more dominant than this push back here. And then everything just keeps spinning that way. So you see everything just comes down in rotation. So all I see is all this just spinning. Ideally, you'd want at this point, you'd want more dominance of linear force. Back leg would have created that linear force. Then if the trunk stayed separated, it would have received that linear force, okay? Remember, there's rotation in this. That's the separation component. But the rotation has to complement the linear movement. So the rotation is there to add to the energy going forward, not to just over-dominate, right? Same thing with labor cleaning. It can't just be, you know, hinging and swinging it up. It's got to be hinging and then kicking into triple extension and driving in the bars going straight up, and then you catch. It's the same thing.
You can tell them you know how to do that. Yeah. I mean, they have a USAW certified coach at the high school.
Yeah.
And hasn't seen him, but he approves of it, you know, his sister's technique.
No, I think the technique's there. I think at the end of the day, it's not that you're probably to the point where you don't understand this. You're at the point where you're having a hard time building the linear power and the force in it. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's really more predicated on your size, your strength, your power.
Right.
Like I said, you're 14. We got to go, as we go through, you know, those puberty years, 15, 16, we really got to make sure we really are starting to climb in that weight, strength, and power. It's going to be hard for him to put the linear energy in it, too.
Were you loading? I mean, what number would you think it was? 130 or 190?
Yeah, I don't think I was loading that much.
So you weren't loading? Were you sweeping your ankle?
Yeah, I think I was.
The guy still has little. I mean, I think if he's nervous, he forgets to
Well, he was saying he hadn't pitched much, but like, look how aggressive your front leg is. It's just so aggressive in trying to reach out, and that's going to take away from the load and the power out of the back leg. Remember, if the front leg gets too aggressive, it pulls us off the rubber. It needs to be passive so the back leg can power us off the rubber, right? So I can get there and coil up perfect, but if I don't perform correctly, it doesn't matter how I set up.
We'll need more power and gain more weight.
Right, which would help. I would be careful too going here with your arm, your glove arm. Everything's action reaction, right? If I swing my lift leg way back, what's the reaction? Just want to swing around. I cannot allow that to happen, meaning when it comes back, or you know, when it flies out at this point, I just create that back leg drive and punch, boom, and that pushes it forward.
Right.
But if you don't have that, when you go and close it off, everything's just going to fly open, right? So a lot of times this feels closed, but sometimes it can add to the more dominant over rotation, right? So I like to do things like kind of like very subtle, and then try to put the performance in the movement that I want.
Right.
I think if you're just struggling with, you know, I feel like over closing like that is overcompensating. You know, I'll do that with guys going into a season that just couldn't really get enough power and keeps them maybe closed a little bit longer. But I wouldn't like that. To me, is not the best adjustment to really, when you're really trying to get to an elite set of movements.
Can they do a front sled here? Do you know, for like a driving, like your Rogue one you have?
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they have that?
Oh, in this place? I don't think so. I don't think they have
We
one.
use the glute ham machine.
That's what we
Well, I
have.
can do something just like me holding them. But like, look here at front foot strike. When you hit front foot strike right here, look where this glove side is. It's down and off. I'd like it to be up and closed at that point.
It's like a
Because
ball.
from here, it's just, everything wants to easily fly open at that point. I would want it to be here. That's why when you go to your target throws, when your hands are broken at that point, really internally rotate your front arm and keep it closed off. You can pinch from there, but it's gonna probably put you here. And just focus on holding this position as I drive and separate. Then I can turn it over and let everything go. Because what it's doing is you're hitting front foot right here, and your shoulders are now already flying open at this point, and then your arm is dragging bad. And that's the other thing. That's not good. You don't want the elbow behind the shoulder. And all this is this is called hyperangulation. It's basically it's in a hyper rotated position, right? It's trying to pull away because everything is just spinning to create the lag or the separation.
Yeah.
So we've got to, closing this off doesn't allow things to want to keep spinning around, and it gives it time to push the back hip through before it rotates, so you get all that linear energy that it's going to add to. When it's like this, everything wants to keep pulling, right?
It didn't look like he was throwing his arm ahead. It looked like it was still kind of tucked. It looks like it was going with the trunk.
Yeah, it is.
And I know he's failing at the hips. Power,
right,
punching the hip through.
Yeah.
And he knows.
Because look, you can even
that.
see here, he just pushes it. It just lays down.
Yeah.
It just lays down.
Because he's nervous and he hasn't shown
Right.
it to you.
So if we look at the sequence, you're going to see the sequence.
Because you know how to punch your hip, right?
Yeah.
Theo?
Right. Look at the sequence.
Yeah.
Lead form. So look at the sequence. Everything is together. Every single thing is together.
So red is hip,
glove,
glove.
and arm. And the only reason the glove is there because he pulled it so far back.
Yeah, like the med ball too.
Yeah.
The thing is, last year 68, and I have video. You can see separation. And
Well, I'll tell you, you
range.
can lose
But this year-
mechanics so fast, and it comes with what happens is like you atrophy the timing and the muscle memory, and then at the same time too, if you're atrophying the muscle strength and power, your mechanics are just going to go, just tank.
That's what falls out of the equation because he's grown so tall, 4 inches a year. He's been gaining in the program, gaining mobility. You have all this, then there's your quality of movement,
Mm-hmm.
and like he probably in your mind, you still thought 68 was fast this year, right?
But-
and I don't
but-
blame him for thinking
But also
that.
too, when you're doing all that growing, it's hard to just keep your weight up or fill out. So you're going to hit a point. It's going to be nice. You're going to hit a point in the next year where your body kind of settles and you're going to start filling out. But if you think about it, when that moment comes, if you have a great diet and you have a great lifting approach, how much more you think you're going to fill out? Considerably more. So that's why make sure, don't think of this as you're screwing up. It's just, you're constantly getting better and you're putting things in place to when your body really wants to develop, it's going to be ready. As opposed to a lot of the other people, when that happens, they have no idea what's going on.
Ready.
Yeah, they're not ready for it.
Everything we do is so that you can move better.
Yeah.
What you eat, mobility,
Right.
strength, power.
Yeah.
And that motor control, it changes so fast. Like during the season.
Well, you want to hear a cool story? It's on a YouTube guy. He does this show called Smart Things, or I don't know what it is. But some engineer sent him a bike that they changed the handles where if you turn a bike to the left, it turns to the right. They changed the gear. You had to put an extra gear on it. So if you turn left, it would turn right. And he tried to ride the bike and he couldn't do it. He did it every day he'd get on it, he couldn't do it. Because when you get on the bike, you have to balance it. So you have a split second to get it under control. But your brain's thinking the other way every time and you can't do it. He went all around the world doing this show he does, and he'd bring the bike out and no one all around the world could ride it. Did it for a year. So he said, all right, I'm going to see how long it takes to ride the bike. He did it 5 minutes a day for 8 months. It took him 8 months to ride the bike until he could get on it. So 8 months to go from old motor control to new motor control. Then after the 8 months, he was like, all right, I'm going to see if I can ride it back the original way, the regular way. Took him 2 weeks to get back to riding it the regular way. So new motor control is a serious, takes a lot of work. To go back to old motor control, it takes about a couple weeks. As far as answering what you're going through, you got to understand that motor control, especially if it's something new and you've never done before, it's a monster,
Right.
and it's something to where too you can lose it very quickly.